Lonnie, it's just great to be here in your warehouse. I'm anxious to see your museum as well. But we did bring some computers, the early ones. Some of the early Intel, first Intels, the Super Joe. And this Mark 8 here is an exact copy of the one that's in the Smithsonian, John Titus's computer in the Smithsonian. And we also brought one of his prototype, well, there were 10 prototypes of the Dynamicro. And so we have the prototype. And then down here we have the production unit. There's several more of these in the warehouse, so you'll have multiple ones of these, I think. There's, this is the production unit that was sold really worldwide, and particularly in the U.S. and Europe, because the Italian operation sold a lot of these as well. And of course the Mimms 680, designed by Ed Roberts' group, who started out with the Altair 8800, which started the first complete kit that you could buy and build a computer. And then they went to the 680 using the Motorola 6800. It wasn't a very popular computer, but it was an interesting specimen. Several versions of the Mark 8 that we talked about. There were about 200 kits sold. And it was first advertised in March of 1974. It was really the first microcomputer kit. It was a little before John Titus's Mark 8. Actually, his was in July of 1974. Mike Willigoo, who has the Apple registry, also deals with the Selby's, and he said there's about 8 or 10 of them still in existence, and this is the only one that's been built basically beyond the basic system into a little more sophisticated system with a video display. Personally, an interesting thing about this storyboard was done by a senior in high school. Graphic designer who is now going on to college and graduated and is now working in graphic design, but she did this as a senior in high school. Beautiful story. Yeah, this is probably as nice an example of a Mark 8 you'd ever find. I don't remember the person who built this, but it's a beautiful example of the Mark 8 as it was displayed in the Radio Electronics magazine, 1974, July. The others built beyond this were various versions using the same cards, but this is a great example of really a very nice job of building. A lot of people build them. They weren't very good at soldering, and they didn't really know construction techniques and so forth. In terms of
then you have the early Intels.
Yeah, we had the first Intel 4004 microprocessor, which became available in November of 1971. This is the Intel Intellect 4 development system based on the 4004. And actually there's 2 of these in the collection, so Lonnie will have this one plus one more. The one in my museum is still there. I took this out of the warehouse inventory. And of course we do have the Intel 8008 development system. And just referring to John Titus again, we did this called the Mini Micro Designer, and this is the computer John designed after the Mark 8 when we were designing computers for the educational market. It has all of the interface signals, address, data bus, and control available for interfacing, but we were all thinking mini computers at the time, so it sort of looks a little bit like a mini computer with a switch panel, lights, and so forth, and multiple cards. Well, all this construction was kind of expensive, so it wasn't real popular, even though there were hundreds of them sold, probably not thousands. We haven't brought in our best Apple I, which is in a wooden box, wooden case. And I bought that from John Birch, who told me he bought the computer itself on the back end of a car from Wozniak and Jobs. And I tried to contact him a few years after I bought the computer, and I never could locate him to kind of verify that story. But it makes sense. A beautiful computer, no modifications, and just a lovely example. So we're just great to be here.
It's fantastic to have you down.
Great. I'm anxious to see your museum. And what's your reaction to these initial units I brought down?
Oh, these are fantastic examples of each one of these early systems. can't wait to delve into the collection.
Well, there's a lot of it, and you'll have a lot of fun with it. And I'm so delighted to have it come down here and sort of have a continuing life. That was one of my worries, that it wouldn't have a continuing life, and I feel that it will here, and that's just great.
Absolutely.